Good morning, Eamonn from Ashton Farm here again with another quick video. Just following on from the last video, the reason this bull calf remains on the farm is that he was a very small little calf when he was born, and we weren't able to sell him on to any to be farmers. We needed to just take care of him and get him going. He was quite small, but look at him now. He's turned into a round calf with a little bit of tender love and care. And I suppose when I mention tender love and care, I can't but let the day pass by without commenting on the programme last night on primetime investigate on the export of calves. Look, I suppose the first thing we realise is that we have a lot of calves born here in this country every year, and some of them has to be exported, and there's a good demand for those calves for the veal market in Europe, and they are very much part of the whole agricultural system. But what went on last night is showing the abuse of calves, or some abuse of calves last night, guys kicking them and all the rest. That cannot be condoned. And what needs to be done, it's not a question of saying stop and export of calves. So if we end up with all those dairy calves on the dairy farms in this country at a very busy time of the year, it could cause for more animal welfare issues. And it is an issue that needs to be addressed. And number one, we have to accept that dairying is a very important part of keeping rural Ireland taken over. Take dairying out of rural Ireland, and particularly in my own area like Delvin, Atboy, Clonmellon, Collinstown, Castlepollard area, in towards Mullingar. Take that dairying out of that area, and it would be a lot poorer area. It sustains a lot of people living in rural Ireland. That's the first thing that has to be said. But we cannot do that at the expense of welfare issues. Farmers down for several generations looked after their animals, and can even go back to hundreds of years ago when animals was brought into the house, when the cow was considered more sacred than a family member. And a lot of dairy farms still think the cow is more sacred, because if you don't look after the cow, she will not look after you. And if you don't look after the calf, you will not have a sustainable dairy industry. So the few things that needs to be done is, number one, is that lorry driving for that length of time. But for the man and beast, it was humane. There needs to be better controls and checks to make sure that does not happen, that those calves is taken out, rested, and the lorry driver is rested and fed and refreshed. You can imagine that lorry driver fell asleep with that load of calves on those busy motorways, the collision and the loss of life that could have caused. So there's a lot of issues. We've seen some guys kicking calves. Expose those lads. Make sure that we know who they are, and that they never let near managing cows or calves again. The same as we had poor teachers and nurses and guards and all places, and they were taken out. We cannot protect those type of people. We have a sustainable industry, and we want to produce high quality food. There is an issue driving all this, and this is what has started particularly in Britain back 40-50 years ago, a cheap food policy. The day of saying that you can have all these controls and still have cheap food does not work. As far as I'm concerned, it's agriculture, and it's a three-pronged approach we need to look at. The first one is animal welfare, the environment, and sustainable food at a realistic price that people can afford, but not a big competition like the big multinational supermarkets try to buy food as cheap as possible so they can win market share. That model is not working, and that model is leading to this type of abuse of calves and various other types of animals. and various different types of fortune crops as well, and using maybe too much chemicals and all the rest. So we need to make sure that the three-pronged approach is the environment, welfare issues, and sustainable food going forward. That's Eamonn's view on that last night. Do not condone it, and certainly would want to come down to our farm or other dairy farms in the springtime and watch the way we look after our calves. I've shown videos of ours with blankets and all that on them, and that's not just on our farm, that's on 99% of dairy farms. And along with the marts and the exporters, most of them runs a very, very good show, but there needs to be far more training with people of how to handle cattle and calves, and if they're not fit to do it, just get rid of them. Don't have them around the place. Again, Eamonn from Ashton Farm, signing off, and keep watching my videos and you see the way we look after our livestock and the way other farmers look after their livestock, and it's all there to produce a high quality food, and we expect to get a margin of profit so that we are able to continue to do this through a decent price for our products. Eamonn from Ashton Farm, signing off.